Imagine you go to a restaurant and you can't go in and eat. Or you're trying to catch the bus and you can't get to the bus stop. Or you work in an office and your office mate moves all your papers to a different desk and you can't get to it. These are merely a few ways I have been oppressed as a disabled person in my community. In 1990, the American Disabilities Act, or the ADA, was passed. And still, 32 years later, we look at accessibility as a luxury instead of a necessity. Not having access to these basic human rights is not only detrimental to the individual's sense of self, which leads to isolation and mental illness, but also to the basic ability to survive and thrive as a human being. In 1999, when I became a disabled person, I was taught about the ADA and how I had rights as a disabled person. But when I went out into the world, I quickly realized that my rights were not acknowledged and very few people knew about my rights. And this made me so angry and frustrated and shocked. But then I took a step back and realized that I was ignorant to the rights of disabled people until I became disabled. This led me to found my nonprofit, DIYabled, where I educate the people about disability and why accessibility is so important for everybody. Over the past 6 years, I have given talks and written articles that talk about how we are not truly inclusive as a society unless we are talking about disability and disability justice when conversations about social justice, diversity, and inclusion happen. Through DIYabled, I have created 2 video series, Cribstory, an introduction to disabled people throughout time, that is also being aired on Asheville FM as PSAs, and the Frankie and Preepy show, where I talk to kids about disability with my puppet friend. Disability is the largest minority that have been oppressed by the systems that have been created, while at the same time being the most diverse minority that exists. When we began to create a world that is designed with the idea of accommodating chronically ill and people with the least amount of ability, that is when we create a world that eliminates oppression from any race, any religion, any sexual preference, and any gender.